Ladies and gentlemen, I have a gift for you today. All the way from the Twin Cities in Minnesota, next on Cliff's Notes is Noelle Nielsen. Coming right up! Real estate agents, are you struggling with the day-to-day grind, dialing for dollars, putting in hours of floor time with little to show for it? Are you looking for tips, tricks, and tactics to accelerate your career as an agent that will have you closing more homes, working with more clients, and earning more money than ever before? Hi, my name's Cliff Freeman, and I've spent the past 2 decades of my real estate career running one of the top brokerages in DFW and personally coaching over 1,000 high-performing real estate professionals across North America. I created this podcast to share the strategies and tactics you need to explode your real estate business. I guarantee it. I guarantee it. Welcome, everyone, to Cliff's Notes. It is great to be back in the studio after a really nasty week last week.
That was
C3,
awful.
Wasn't that
chilly.
Something?
It was cold.
Yeah, I remember you calling me and telling me, I said, how you doing, man? I said, oh, man, I haven't slept all night, man. I was like, well, why? How come you weren't sleeping?
Man, I was out there with my pajamas on, hacking away at ice for 2 nights in a row because of how cold it got.
What, ice where?
In my pool.
Oh, in your pool?
Yeah.
So your pool looked like an
ice
old-fashioned, huh?
Yeah,
with a big ice cube in it, in the middle of it.
Oh,
right.
yeah.
It was rough. Travis, how did you survive? Did you do okay, my friend?
I actually took refuge at family's house. My power went out, heat went out, water, all of it. So I was pretty much in the same boat as you all, man.
Oh, yeah, all that can go out, but your faith never went out.
Hey, that is true.
Amen.
That is true. Always a man of faith.
There you go.
Yes,
there you go. My spiritual guru, for sure. All right, without further ado, let's go ahead and bring on our amazing guest all the way from Minnesota today. This is Noelle. And you guys, if you haven't met Noelle Nielsen, you are in for a super treat. Not only is she very photogenic, but I mean, she is one of the smartest people I've ever met. She's got a law degree. She had a professional photography business. I'll let her tell you a little bit more about that. But now she runs a powerhouse not brokerage, like a mini brokerage, I guess you could say, a powerhouse team up in Minnesota. Got it 6 agents doing a ton of business, and she's doing it from kind of like a remote location because she's also got a little bit of Ellie Mae Clampett in her, wouldn't you say?
A little bit, yeah.
And I think she's got some Lucille Ball in her too, maybe. We might explore that in a little bit here. But anyway, Noelle, welcome to the show. It's so great to have you here.
Wow, thank you for the intro. I have to touch a little bit on the weather that you guys had last week because while you guys were all staying down there with 30-degree weather, we had negative 30-degree weather, but nobody was worried about the Minnesotans.
Well, you guys are built for that stuff, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
infrastructure for the homes is a little different up there.
I think it is. Yeah. Isn't that where hockey was invented or somewhere up there, right? Up in that neck of the woods. So, yeah. But I also know that we put a little strain on your supply chain with the propane. We were talking about that earlier, right?
We were. It's so funny. The propane got used in Texas on all the generators. So last week when we were filling up our propane tank on my farm that I now live on, it tripled the price. It tripled.
Oh my gosh, I didn't realize they must have had a bunch of barbecue gas grills lined up out there, taking those little tanks and hooking them up to those big electric generators. Is that how
that's how it works.
Is that what they were doing?
Yeah.
Wow, that's I didn't know you could do that. Pretty crazy. Well, let's go ahead and dive right in. Noelle, you're an amazing person, and you and your husband both, your family, you've got a beautiful family. And as you shared with us before we got on the stage in our little banter here, you've also got a family of animals now. Tell us a little bit about where you live, and gosh, how can you tell? I want to hear the whole story because you're not anywhere close to your office.
I'm not. So this last summer, when everything got kind of crazy and we figured out that we could totally live online, we moved about 2 hours where my business was located. And really the only way that I would have ever been able to do that was EXP. And so it's been a miracle to watch how it's worked for us and allowed us to have freedom and move to a farm with our family.
So you're one of those people that you must have had one of those dreams that at some point in your life you wanted to live on a farm, right? It's just, I mean, what a wonderful appeal that has, just the peace and raising your kids out. It's so Chip and Joanna, isn't it? Right? Yeah. I mean, were you guys watching HGTV and you just had that inspiration, or is this something that you've been really thinking about and wanting to do for a long time?
Well, I'm from small town Minnesota, and I really was a transplant into the Twin Cities. And then a few years ago, we had a plan that someday we move to northern Minnesota, but the opportunity just presented itself and we took it and we ran with it.
That's awesome. Well, let's go back a little bit here. You said you grew up in a small town. Introduce us to you as a child. What was it like growing up as Noelle?
Well, I've never been normal. I've always been a little different, and I have always been very creative. And so when I started trying to explore what I was going to do for my career, I first thought I was going to be a lawyer. So I went to law school. I did that for a little while. And while I was doing that, I started a photography business. And you kind of touched on that. And I was loving being my own business owner, loving doing the creative side of things, and started making more money from running my own business than I was as an attorney. And so I left practicing law. I was actually practicing law. I was practicing real estate law. And I went ahead and started running my own photography business. I did that for several years. And then I started realizing that I was not really wanting to go to weddings every single weekend for the rest of my life.
Right. You probably saw enough wedding dresses that you didn't want to see another one ever again, unless you have a daughter.
They do all sort of start to look the same.
Yeah, exactly. Well, take us back to that sort of zero moment of truth when you realized that you had the DNA of an entrepreneur. What did you do? Things like, did you have started businesses up when you were young, or any of that kind of stuff?
You know, I was always scheming. I was the typical realtor that had the restaurant service industry. I worked as a server all through college, really. And then when I started college, I started going to work. I had a business background. I did business jobs, and I actually worked in an HR department and did recruiting. And really loved doing recruiting, loved being a headhunter. And I started working at a company where I made commission. So I got a taste of making commission from being a headhunter, which is kind of funny because it all plays into where my life has gone. But I always have wanted to do something different and wanting to help people, wanting to run my own business.
You know, this is almost like it's scripted, but you know, I really believe that people who have had to make a living in the food business have developed a lot of the skills that it takes to be successful in real estate. You learn how to go kill your paycheck every day, right? Because you're working on tips, and it's all based on customer service. And a lot of times you're dealing with things over which you don't have a lot of control, like the kitchen, the bar, and so forth, yet you're the person, the buffer between the client and all of the chaos, right? So you have to bring order to the chaos. So it really is a great training ground. I know some really, really great agents who started bartending or waiting tables and stuff. So that's really, it's really another interesting thing that as I've been in my 33 years here, I've tried to see what makes people successful, and that's a lot of it. Was it a really smooth ride all the way up through law school and your photography business, or did you have any bumps along the way?
Oh, I had bumps. You know, I think when I graduated from a really small high school. It was easy to always be number one where I was at. Went to college, same experience. And then I went to law school and realized I was kind of average at being in law school. I mean, I wasn't at the bottom, but I wasn't at the top. And it caused me to really question whether or not I wanted to keep doing that, whether I really wanted to be a lawyer. Did I really have the drive? Did I really have the desire to do that? And that really is what started me going into the creative side of things to get stress relief, because I did not love law school. I didn't love being a lawyer and sitting behind a desk and writing documents, which is really what being a lawyer is. And so as we started our business, my husband kind of helped me. He's also an attorney. We started working on this photography business so that I could have a creative outlet outside of, being an attorney. And, starting your own business, you never know what you don't know. There's always things that you don't anticipate with running a business. And it's the same thing with real estate, And we kind of did the same thing. So I started real estate, and I didn't start it slow pace. I went into it really fast, grew a team really fast, and then started my own brokerage very fast. And when I got into my brokerage model, we also grew that very fast. Within a few months, we had 20 agents. And then all of a sudden I realized, I don't know everything about running a brokerage. And I didn't anticipate all of the things that were going to come at me as a broker in such a short amount of time.
All right. So tell us about that first year in real estate. Did you kill it?
Well, my very first year, I actually had trouble making the transition from running my photography business to running a real estate business. And I think I watch a lot of people go through that when, very few realtors start doing real estate as their first career. There's very few people that do that. Most people are trying to transition from lifestyle into another lifestyle, and learning to say no to something and to take the leap is the most difficult thing. And I went through that myself because I had a very functional photography business, but it took me a long time to start saying no to those clients in photography, and to get their mindset to shift around me being a photographer in their minds to now thinking about me as a realtor. And that's where I started doing the video, because I was like, if I don't start putting it out there into the world that I'm no longer doing the photography, but now I'm doing the real estate, they're not going to follow. They keep calling me for photography. They're not going to call me for real estate.
Exactly. So what advice would you have for someone who's in a corporate job, say, for example, who wants to get into real estate?
I would say be prepared to work 60 plus hours a week. If you have a 40-hour a week, you're going to still have to put in the time on real estate. It's not just going to fall in your lap. But there's time-saving activities that you can do, like posting on social media, posting videos that are evergreen, that are going to jumpstart you a lot faster than just going out and trying to do it in the sense that most realtors have started out.
Would you recommend that people just jump in head first and quit their corporate job, or do you get into real estate and then get a side hustle going to keep the lights on? What's the best strategy there?
I'll give you the typical lawyer answer. It depends.
She's still a lawyer at heart. Yeah, you can tell. What does it depend on?
I think it depends. One, do they have any other source of income for their household? Are they lucky enough to have another working spouse that can support their desire to switch from one career to the next? If the answer there is yes, then absolutely make that leap full-time into real estate, and then show up. Don't just take the independent contractor route and then not show up to the office or not show up to work every single day. I work from home. I tell my agents this. Now I work from home a lot of days, but the moment I walk into my home office, I am at work. I am showing up at work every single day. And I've been talking lately with my group about, are you a DTW agent or are you an ITB agent? The DTW agent is the one that shows up and does the work. The ITB agent is the one that is full of excuses that can never actually get to the work because I'm too busy. And I'm tired of the ITB excuse. I want to see the DTWs showing up work every day. There you go. Write it down.
Your downers, audience, in case you missed that. Yeah, that's strong. That's very
really
strong.
good.
Yeah. So you had a formal training in real estate. Some people get undergraduate degrees in real estate. How did that prepare you for real estate sales, though?
Well, I would say that I'm a tough negotiator. I'm probably one of the best at negotiating and knowing the paperwork for me is second nature. That is the simple in real estate. And so for me, when I'm actually now teaching my team, I'm teaching them tips and tricks that I actually learned at law school of how to negotiate through a deal, how to read interactions from people, how to ask questions of your clients in order to get them to where they need to be. You know, sometimes it's just a matter of, in law school, we go through a ton of training of just asking questions and then listening. Ask questions and then listen. And I think a lot of times realtors forget that part.
That realtors need to learn how to ask the right questions.
That's right. Good job.
Well, I was saying why, and you know, I think.
Why do they?
Yeah, I mean, without sort of making this, you know, rhetorical, realtors tend to do a lot of talking. Is in my experience, and so I think what you've hit on here is something that is absolutely pure gold. That if you learn how to ask the right questions. In fact, I always like to go back to being a good conversationalist. If you're a good conversationalist, you're going to listen twice as much as you talk. I mean, part of conversing is finding out what's in that other person's head. So using, I don't want to say leading questions, but questions that help influence people to make the right decisions, right, are always handy when you're doing that. That is such an important thing. Tell me how it impacted, helped, or hurt you when it comes to lead generation and lead conversion.
Yes. So I've been really fortunate because my wedding photography business sort of transitioned with me into real estate. All of my couples that got married and they were renting at the time that they were getting married, all of a sudden started buying houses. And the moment I put myself out there that, hey, I'm no longer your photographer, now I'm going to be your realtor, those people sort of came with me along the journey, and a lot of them became my clients. And so I naturally just marketed my sphere. I always wanted to just be a sphere-driven agent and using my social media base to find my business. We have dabbled a lot in lead gen, and a lot of that online lead gen is a matter of keeping them on the phone for as you can keep them on the phone for until you can get them to give them golden nugget that you can then take and turn around to use to connect and to grow a relationship. You know, I think that's where a lot of cold calling agents that spend a lot of time on the phone, the ones that are most successful are the ones that figure out how to turn a very cold lead into an instantly warm lead by asking questions and then listening.
I know C3 has some questions about that. I'm going to do a quick sidebar because this is an interesting story that Gary Keller told me. When he got started in the business, one of the ways that he used to lead generate was over the weekend, he would have his assistant go into the newspaper, into the classifieds, and clip the weddings, right? And the obituaries. And his assistant would put those in a manila folder and hand him that folder every Monday morning, and he would start calling those people because, just as you pointed out, they are perfect candidates to be first-time home buyers after they get married. So what a brilliant, just kind of a natural thing for you to fall into. That was very fortunate, fortuitous, I guess I'll say, for a SAT word, in having that. C3, you wanted to ask Noelle a little bit about how she's had success, on her social media.
Talk to me about how you've incorporated video into your business so that you can market to those people that you want to market to. Like, what's the strategy behind the creation of, for instance, I think there was a recent video, I think it was called Apples to Apples. That's for agent attraction, I think, but for your business itself, how are you marketing with video to your prospective clients?
Well, I started out with my son. So I started out marketing using this little guy. We call him Realtor Boy. I dressed him up in a suit. I made him go and show the houses in his own 4-year-old way. He's now 9, 5 years later. And I gave him his own little business card, and he would pass it out at church. I would go to pick him up from the church nursery, and everybody would be standing around with his business card. And I did it that way because at the beginning, I was used to being behind the camera, and I didn't want to be in front of it. I was really uncomfortable on camera. I did not want to put myself out there, so I used the next best thing, my kid.
That's fair. I'm kind of camera shy. Yeah. No, go ahead. Continue. I'm sorry.
Well, no, I learned over time, though, that your face, it doesn't really matter what you look like because all of your friends already know like. And instead, they just want to see you, and they want to see you in an authentic form. So if you're somebody that likes to have a little fun, which that's how I am, then you should be putting that out there.
I think, if I'm not mistaken, we've dug into the archives of the National Film Society, and we might just have a little clip that we could share. Trelvis, have you got that little segment teed up for us?
Meatloaf, my darling's favorite. On today's episode of Cooking with Noelle, we're going to compare apples to apples. Agents. We don't live in the 1950s anymore. So
all right, Noelle, can you hear me?
Comparing brokerages? Like
Yep,
I can hear you.
Apples to apple. I got to ask you a question. You don't look like you're that shy in front of a camera anymore.
At all.
Well, you know, I film usually when I don't have an audience, and I've learned that if something doesn't work, I can just delete it. And I think that's the thing. I now teach agents, just pick this up. Don't necessarily go live with it on your first round. Pick it up, hit record. There's so many different apps that you can use on your phone to edit, and just delete the stuff that didn't turn out, where you didn't say it the right way. I very rarely work off of a script. I usually am just riffing in my videos, and then I just pick the stuff that works.
And so what suggestions do you have for content for agents, for new agents?
Right. So I think it just depends on who your client you're trying to attract. So first you have to determine that. You know, in the beginning, I probably never would have shown pictures of my goats. I've actually done a few posts about this because I was past several years selling a lot of luxury real estate. And so for me to be taking videos of myself driving around in a F-350 with mud boots on and Carhartts isn't necessarily going to sell the $2 million home. So you first have to decide who is your client. When I first started, my clients were other moms. So I had a minivan. I didn't shy away from showing my minivan because I wanted to be relatable to those people. And I think a lot of realtors make the mistake that they just want to show that they are the top. They drive the best car, or they, you know, wear the fanciest shoes. But that might not actually speak to their client base that they really have in front of them. So first they need to define who their client is. And, you know, the video you just saw, my client now is other realtors. And so a lot of times when I'm putting out videos, it is geared toward explaining why EXP, why are we at EXP? Because that is my client today, really.
Who are some of the video influencers in our business that you follow?
Well, the very first one that I started watching was Kyle Whistle. He mastered how to do community videos, right? And
Yep.
so he was the master. He is actually the one that created the saying digital mayor. And I started watching how he was doing it and took that and twisted it around to my own way, which is being creative in my videos and putting out crazy stuff.
So Kyle is amazing. I think he's been voted the best realtor, the video user of video in our business. I know last year and probably a number of years running, but that's great because I think that you have to kind of see. It's like you said earlier. It depends on the content. It depends. You've got to really figure out what your personality is and how you want to portray yourself. Whether you're a rock star or you're a consultant or you're a CEO or something like that. You really need to figure out what your personality is that you want to convey to your audience. What kind of, just real quickly, you said iPhone and so forth. What did it take to produce that video that you just did? That was something else. That looked like it was professionally produced.
It's nothing too fancy, really.
Yeah?
Yeah. I filmed myself and edited that one myself. But unless you're back for this and you really, really, really want to do your own videos, I suggest trying to partner. I encourage people to go out and find wedding videographers, especially right now with COVID. Weddings have been canceled all around the country. There's a bunch of videographers that are sitting around on their fingers just waiting for somebody to come in and give them projects. Go out, find somebody you can partner with, and talk to them about what it is that you want to create. See if you can create a monthly calendar with a videographer and put them on contract.
Okay. I love that idea. Absolutely love that idea. We use video a lot, and I noted that you said don't start out doing lives. This show has been live since day one, and boy, I'll tell you, I see how gray my hair is right now. It used to be his color, but I agree with that. And what you have to understand is, that's part of the appeal, though. The part of the appeal is that you don't want it to be overproduced or perfect or something like that, until you get to that point where you're really good. Because you got to be vulnerable. It's like you said, you have to be authentic, right? So don't be afraid to put out something that you think might not be the kind of quality that you want, because people really aren't going to judge you for that, especially if you're just now getting into it. Well, you some time ago, you decided to make a change in your business. And at that time, is this the point before you joined EXP where you had the brokerage and you had about 20 agents? Is that what led up to that point? So what was life like for you running a brokerage, a local brokerage with 20 people in it? And how has that changed now? What's different?
So I'm about a year and a half in my journey at EXP. And I would say that what I didn't anticipate is all the people come out of the woodwork once I made the switch over to EXP that wanted to partner with me, but didn't want to partner with me when I was running a little brokerage, because I couldn't offer to them the kind of technology that we have at our fingertips right now. I just couldn't. I couldn't keep up with all the tech. And I started that brokerage thinking that I was going to be ahead of the game because of my social media skills, because of the video. And that is all great and necessary, but it's not everything. I couldn't provide the opportunity for my agents to go into multiple states, which I had several people that even in a 20-person brokerage wanted to cross state lines, especially being in Minnesota. We had a lot of people wanting to go to Florida. And I just realized very quickly into the brokerage that I was not going to be able to compete.
And so what is it about EXP specifically that gives you the ability to compete now?
The collaboration, like 100%. If you go back and watch that apples to apples video, I collaboration like 5 different times in that video, because while we've got all the different pieces of fruit for the fruit basket that nobody else has, every single thing that we have, no brokerages out there that have it. And of all of that stuff, however, the collaboration for me has been the key piece that I really needed. And as I've been over here now, watching other big teams come in and be able to take their own brand and bolster it onto EXP, which is essentially what I did with my brokerage brand. It's been amazing to watch all of our different brands kind of take off while using the social media, while helping them with video and being financially incentivized to do that. But then also having all of the training and everything there that EXP provides. There's just, it's an unbeatable model.
But you know, you've collaborated your whole life, right? I mean, collaboration's part of the business, but how important is it now that you're collaborating with people that are number one and number two in their markets? How has that changed how much you've gotten out of that collaboration?
I would say that it's the whole saying, a rising tide raises all ships, right? So if you're going to be running at a high pace and you've got other people that are running at a high pace and you've got a whole bunch of, it's the DTW saying that I said before, if you've got all the people showing up that are willing to do the work and we can help each other on, you know, I just last week, a big team joined me out of a Remax office and they came over for the collaboration, and he has a whole different skill set than I do. He came over is because together the two of us can use our skills in a more powerful way than each one of us individually. I like to use I used to play volleyball. I know I'm only 5 feet tall, so this is kind of a surprise to most people when they hear that I played volleyball. But my coach used to teach us that this kind of a serve with all fingers operating individually was never going to be as powerful as if you put your hand together and whacked it over the net.
Okay, so that illustrating that being together, right, instead of everybody doing their own independent kind of thing. I remember the one where here's the church. Remember this one? Here's the church. Here's the steeple. Open it up, and here's all the people. And then Snoopy looks over and says, kind of a small congregation there, huh? Anyway, I digress. But yes, I totally understand what you're saying. So you've gotten to hang around some pretty influential people in the business. I want to know about the impact that it's had on your vision. What do you see now that's different than you did before for the next, say, 3 to 5 years of your real estate career? Tell me what that journey is going to be like now.
I would say that a couple years ago, before joining EXP, my goal was to increase volume, increase transaction numbers kind of on my own. I was going to have to be a leader all by myself and, continue to add agents and keep agents, busy and fed with leads in order to keep the business going. And now that with the EXP model, one, I was able to move outside of my market and continue my business going full force in the Twin Cities while I go and move to a more remote location, but still have constant access. I'm literally on calls all day with my team, and I'm watching my team grow and have success growing around the country. And it's just a faster way for me to be able to help more people, to help them use all the tactics that I had been doing. And it really is exponential. It's exponential. And so in the next 3 to 5 years, my whole plan is just to keep helping more and more people through this model and to train agents to be able to do what I'm doing. And then they can train agents to do what they hopefully are now doing the work, right? That I just taught them how to do so that they can do it too. And it's been amazing. My group of 20 agents within a year and a half is now at 150 agents in my organization.
And so that 150, those are agents that have grown in your group. How many states does that represent? Where are they?
We're in about 15 states now.
15 states. Okay. Where do you see yourself in 3 years?
I'm hoping that we're in almost all the states and in a couple of countries too.
Okay. That is terrific. And so the benefit of growing this way as opposed to doing it the old way where you're on a transaction treadmill essentially, and at the beginning of the year it's wash, rinse, and repeat. You got to start all over. It's the same thing year in and year out. What's different now? I've heard of some agents that do well with passive income at EXP. How do you expect that to impact your life going forward?
Well, it is life changing. So the revenue share model is one that is unbelievable in how that can impact your monthly income. So instead of feeling like you have to continue at the grind of doing, you hear about these agents. I've got plenty of friends that are agents that do 100+ deals a year. And of course, they're telling themselves and then in return telling you, I love doing that kind of volume. I love doing that many deals. But behind the scenes, they cannot wait to escape it. They cannot wait to get out of doing that many deals. They don't want to keep being that busy, especially now when it is not a buyer's market and you're running around. I mean, some of the homes in the Twin Cities area are receiving 30+ offers. I mean, it's a crazy business right now for buyers agents, but I digress. So in order to be able to make that kind of income, especially in this kind of a market, you need more help. Like you need more people, you need a bigger team behind you. And that's really what EXP is. It's, if your market's down, but maybe you've got 5 agents in Florida and their market is up. I mean, it's just kind of job security in a way. Future retirement plan. I mean, we haven't even talked about the stock, but the stock is also just a crazy. When I came over as a broker, I did not care about the stock. It was like $9 a share. I accidentally opted into the agent equity plan. 6 figures later, I am very glad that I accidentally opted into it, and I'm watching it change agents' lives. Not even at that level, but agents are the worst at saving money. You could give them the whole game plan and they're not going to do it. And EXP just basically has a built-in retirement plan for agents. There's no other place that has this built-in retirement plan like this.
Noelle, if somebody wanted to get a hold of you and find out a little more about which you speak, what's the best way to get a hold of you?
You can find me very easily on social media. Surprise. Just look for Noelle the Minnesotan and you will find me, or you can go to my website, which is brightbirch.com.
Bright Birch, and the origin of Bright Birch. What's the story there?
Well, the tagline is, it's the naturally smart choice.
Okay. Makes sense.
Birch the tree.
Yes.
Bright, like as in smart.
Yeah.
Taking me a minute, but I think I got it.
Right before we let you go, Noelle, I have one last question. Seeing your success, where you're at now, your family is wonderful as well. You have, how many kids? Is it 3 or 4 kids? 3 kids?
3. Don't give me any
3?
more. I cannot
Okay.
take any more.
How do you find that balance between spending time with your family, doing this fun stuff you like to do, and then building this empire with EXP? How do you manage? What's your schedule like?
I'm unique. I am definitely a DTW person. If I have spare minutes and somebody needs my spare minutes, I will give them. Just to have the mentality that what goes around comes around, right? So if you need to devote time to something, that eventually is going to come back to you in another form. And so for me, if my eyes are open, I'm usually going full force. I'm helping something or someone or some animal. And it's just the speed that I run at and balance. I mean, I think balance is something that is a misunderstood thing. I think there's a lot of people that are out there searching for something that they're never really going to find. Balance is really whatever you have in your head going on, what you feel. And, I know, Cliff, you talk a lot about duality and whatnot. And for me, that's very important. If I don't start my day out with a little bit of quiet time in the Word and in prayer, then I totally lose my balance, because that's the only thing that keeps me balanced. But if I start my day out that way every single day, then the rest of the stuff that comes at me, well, I can handle, because it's not me handling it, it's Him.
Amen. That's it. Yeah. That sure makes life a lot easier when you got somebody to lean on, doesn't it?
Totally. Yeah.
Yeah, it sure does. Well, Noelle, you're so awesome. It's so kind and generous of you to come onto our show and share everybody your trade secrets and what you're doing to be so successful. And we wish you the best, and we're so glad to be partners with you in this journey that you're going through. And I just want to let you know, if you're in the audience, you really need to meet Noelle and reach out to her and get to know her as a person. She's very personable, and that's the real deal right there. You see her on the screen, and behind all the celebrity, there is a person back there, but she's got a heart of gold, and she's a real godly woman, a real faithful woman, and just I wish you the best, and thank you again for sharing your time with us today.
Well, thanks for having me, guys. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. We'll see you soon. All right. Those of you who live in Prosper, you need to pick up. If you have a house there, you're getting one of these right now. This is the Prosper Real Estate Expert. And on the back page every month, you'll see there is no inventory in Prosper, but we have it, right? There's, what is that, 0.2 of a month? It's skinny, right?
Slim
but
pickings.
Anyway, to all of our Prosper viewers, hope you're enjoying the newspaper. We hope to expand this at some point, but don't forget, we are selling a lot of real estate and getting buyers into those homes that have multiple offers. A couple of programs we're working on even today. We're going to be rolling out here soon, where you're going to be able to walk in as a cash buyer, and we'll also guarantee to buy your home. If you're buying a new home out here in our area, we'll help you out with that to ensure that you're not kicked out of your house having to move twice and have no contingencies on your contract. So look us up. And in the meantime, Travis, want to thank you again, kind sir. You're always such the leader here to help us with the show, and we really appreciate all your talents and good looks, my friend.
It's my pleasure. It's my pleasure. Good to see you guys' warm, smiling faces.
I'm complete. See,
there we go.
Yeah. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you guys so much for tuning in today, and we'll catch you next week right here on Cliff's Notes. All right, folks, tune in to Cliff's Notes every Thursday at 1 o'clock Central for the tips, tricks, and tactics to explode your business. I guarantee it!